Hi, my name's Lexi. I'm 21 years old, and I'm from Fresno, California. People think this life starts with a choice, like one day you just wake up and say, I'm gonna work the streets. But that's not how it happens. It starts with what you don't have. The hugs you never got, the home that wasn't safe, the mom who was out there, and the dad who never came back. I grew up mostly with my grandmother, my aunt, and my two sisters. My mom's been on the streets since she was a kid, 9 years old, they say. Drugs took her so far away that even when she stood right in front of me, it felt like she was gone. My dad, I know he existed, but that's about it. He was another addict. Same streets. Same story. I started running away around 13. Back then, I thought I was grown, thought I knew something. I'd walk through the mall, play grown-up, act like I had a plan. That's where I met the first man who told me I was beautiful. He took my virginity and then told me to get on the corner. He said, "You're gonna make this money." And I did, not because I wanted to. But once you're in the game, it's not that simple. You don't walk away, it keeps pulling you back. You start to believe you deserve it. Every insult, every bruise, every dollar dot by 14. I was pregnant dot by 15. I'd already been arrested twice dot by 16. I'd learned how to hide my tears so my makeup wouldn't run. When I tell people I made $1,200 or $1,300 in a day, they look at me like I'm winning. But what they don't see is that I didn't keep a single cent. I was feeding a man who told me I was nothing without him. And when I finally tried to leave, he reminded me exactly how replaceable I was. Sometimes I think about that little girl, the one who thought she was grown. I wish I could go back and hold her, tell her that none of this was love. That love doesn't come with bruises or rules or curfews you can't break. Now, when I walk down Figueroa, I see girls even younger than me. 13, 14, wearing shoes too big and hearts too soft. They don't know yet that this street doesn't care how pretty you are. It'll eat you alive if you let it. I still have a daughter, 6 years old. My grandma's raising her now. Sometimes she calls me and says, "Mommy, just come home." And I want to. God, I want to. But every time I try, it feels like something drags me back out here. The streets don't let go easy dot. This life isn't glamorous dot. It's survival dot. And every night I tell myself, just one more date, one more room, one more sunrise. Maybe tomorrow I'll be free. But once you're in the game, it's not that simple. You don't walk away, it keeps pulling you back. You start to believe you deserve it. Every insult, every bruise, every dollar dot by 14. I was pregnant dot by 15. I'd already been arrested twice dot by 16. I'd learned how to hide my tears so my makeup wouldn't run. When I tell people I made $1,200 or $1,300 in a day, they look at me like I'm winning. But what they don't see is that I didn't keep a single cent. I was feeding a man who told me I was nothing without him. And when I finally tried to leave, he reminded me exactly how replaceable I was. Sometimes I think about that little girl, the one who thought she was grown. I wish I could go back and hold her, tell her that none of this was love. That love doesn't come with bruises or rules or curfews you can't break. Now, when I walk down Figueroa, I see girls even younger than me. 13, 14, wearing shoes too big and hearts too soft. They don't know yet that this street doesn't care how pretty you are. It'll eat you alive if you let it. I still have a daughter, 6 years old. My grandma's raising her now. Sometimes she calls me and says, "Mommy, just come home." And I want to. God, I want to. But every time I try, it feels like something drags me back out here. The streets don't let go easy dot. This life isn't glamorous dot. It's survival dot. And every night I tell myself, just one more date, one more room, one more sunrise. Maybe tomorrow I'll be free. I've made $1,200 in one night and lost it all by morning. I've slept in cars, been robbed, beaten, and still gone out the next day because the rent on my room is due by noon. Out here, rest is a luxury. I didn't choose this life. I survived it. When home is full of violence and the streets are the only place left. It's not a choice, it's survival. Sometimes I meet girls even younger than me, 16, 15. I tell them to run. I tell them it's not worth it. But I see that look in their eyes, the same one I had, the look that says, I've got nowhere else to go. I don't have a pimp anymore. Stopped giving men my money. Now, I just give away little pieces of myself to keep going. When I close my eyes, I see Ava. Her smile is the only thing that makes me believe I can still change. Whisper her name every night before I sleep. Like a prayer, Ava, mommy's trying. Because maybe one day, she see this and understand it didn't quit on her. I was just trying to find a way back home. By the time I turned 21, I had already lived a lifetime. I'd been arrested, robbed, beaten, and somehow still got up every morning to walk the same streets. You build an armor out here, not from steel, but from numbness. You stop feeling things that should hurt. You smile when you want to scream. One day I woke up and realized I didn't need a pimp anymore. No. Man was going to own me again. It wasn't a brave decision. It was exhaustion. I just couldn't keep handing over everything I earned while being told I was worthless. I started working alone. At first, it felt terrifying. No one to watch my back, no one to control me. But after a while, it felt like breathing for the first time. I met a guy who called himself my boyfriend. He wasn't a pimp, at least that's what I told myself. I gave him half of what I made, said it was for us. But deep down, I knew the pattern. Different face, same story. Sometimes love and control wear the same mask. When I'm alone, I think about what I could have been taught as a kid. I wanted to be a real estate agent. Dress sharp, drive a nice car, flip houses. I used to imagine myself behind a desk, answering phones, wearing heels that weren't for survival. It sounds stupid now, but I still dream about it sometimes. I travel a lot, Sacramento, Bakersfield, every city looks the same after midnight. Empty streets, motel neon, tired faces. I pack everything I own in one bag. I tell myself each move will be the last one, but somehow I always end up back on the same block. Watching the same sunrise. I see girls out there, 15, 16, some even younger. They remind me of myself, standing where I once stood, still believing this life can give them something. I tell them the truth. It's not worth it. You'll lose more than you'll ever make. Some listen. Most don't. Nobody ever does until it's too late. Sometimes I still get scared. There are nights when the cars slow down, windows tinted, and I feel that cold rush of panic. You never know what kind of man's behind the wheel. Drunk, cruel, desperate, lonely. Every time I get in, I whisper a small prayer. Please, let me come back. I'm not using as much now. I still take pills sometimes, just enough to keep my eyes open. But I've learned that drugs don't really help. They just make the clock spin faster. I started keeping a little notebook, writing down what I feel before I forget it. Maybe one day it'll be a book. Maybe it'll just be proof that I existed. There are moments, small ones, when I feel proud, when I walk away from danger, when I refuse a man who talks down to me, when I save enough for one extra night in a clean room. Those moments remind me I'm not lost completely. People say sex work is just business, but they don't see the cost. Every smile, every fake laugh, every time you pretend to be someone's fantasy, a little part of you fades. But I've learned to hold on to what's left. I've learned that surviving doesn't make me weak. It makes me strong. I still talk to Ava every week. She tells me she's learning how to ride a bike. She asks if I'm coming home soon. I tell her yes, even when I don't know how. Her voice is my only anchor in this life. When I hang up, I stare at my phone, wishing I could climb through the screen and hold her. The other day, a man asked me what I wanted out of life. I told him peace. Not money, not fame, just peace. A bed that's mine, a door that locks from the inside. A morning where I wake up without fear. I'm not proud of everything I've done, but I'm proud I'm still here, that I can still smile, that I can still hope, because for girls like me, hope is rebellion, and tonight, that's enough to keep me alive. People think moving off the street is freedom. It's not. It's just a cleaner cage. I was 22 when I stopped walking corners and started running rooms. 2 small apartments, 1 phone, a notebook full of names. I told myself I was helping the girls, keeping them safer than I'd ever been. Rules made the chaos smaller. Lights on, doors cracked, check-in texts. It wasn't glamour, but it was control. And that felt close enough to peace. Money came fast, but so did the pressure. Rent, supplies, endless calls. I barely slept. I stopped using for a while, then started again. Out here, better never lasts. You live between alarms, pretending exhaustion is strength. My boyfriend, the one who swore he wasn't a pimp, hated that I no longer gave him half. When I changed the lock code, he disappeared. I didn't cry. I just sat on the floor shaking, realizing freedom is heavier than it looks. Then came the sickness. Fever, chest pain, days of spinning. A clinic nurse said infection, said I needed rest. No boyfriends, number 3 a.m. calls, no drunk clients. I raised prices, lowered risks. Some left, but the right ones stayed. I wasn't chasing money anymore. I was chasing calm. One night, the police raided our block. I spent a few hours in holding, cold bench, bright lights. A young cop asked what I do. I said, I keep women safe. He laughed. I stared at the wall. They never understand survival is work too. When I got out, the sky was soft pink. I bought a small cake, stuck a candle in it, whispered one wish, peace. That became my religion. Small rituals, clean sheets, morning tea before touching the phone, a plant on the windowsill, writing 1 page a night, even if it only said don't quit. Some days I still feel the old pull, the rush, the noise, the gravity of the game. When it comes, I walk. I breathe. I whisper Ava's name 3 times. I remind myself I'm not in that life anymore. Even if it still lives in me, I don't pretend. I'm healed. I'm just learning to live slow. To make choices instead of reactions. To keep the door open for air, not escape. People ask if I'm out. I tell them I'm stepping out. 1 day, 1 rule. 1 quiet night at a time. I still iron pillowcases, still flinch at knocks, still write my own name at the top of each page like a promise. My name is Lexi. I'm still here, and this time I want to stay. My name is Lexi, and this is the part where I finally stopped running. After years of noise, silence felt strange, too wide, too honest. But silence is what saved me. It started with mornings. No phone, no makeup. Just coffee, sunlight, and the sound of my own breath. I'd never known how quiet healing could be. I began working at a women's shelter in East LA. The director knew my story, not the pretty version, the real one. She said, if you survive that, you can help someone else survive too. I didn't believe her at first. I thought I was still broken, but the girls there looked at me the way I used to look at my reflection, scared, shaking, pretending to be strong. And I realized maybe broken glass can still reflect light. Every story they told was a piece of mine, the lost childhoods, the fake love, the streets that chew you up and spit you back out. I listened more than I spoke. That was new for me. Sometimes I visit my grandma. She's older now, softer. She doesn't ask what I do anymore. She just hugs me longer. Her eyes don't judge, they forgive. And that's something I never thought I'd deserve. Ava is 9 now. She calls me Mom again, slowly, like testing if the word will hold. I send her lunch money, pictures of sunsets, letters I never mailed when I was gone. She writes back, "I'm proud of you, Mom. Don't give up." That's my miracle. Not fame, not money, just her handwriting on a page. There are still nights when the past comes knocking. The dreams are vivid, headlights, cold air, men's voices. I wake up sweating, clutching the sheets. But I remind myself that girl is gone. She is still part of me, but she doesn't steer anymore. I've started writing again. Not about pain, but about becoming. I call the notebook still here. 1 page a day. Even when it hurts. The first line I ever wrote was, "You can survive without disappearing." Maybe that's the truth I needed all along. Sometimes I walk past the motels where I used to work. The neon still hums, the same faces still circle. I leave flowers by the dumpsters for the girls who never got out, for the ones still trying. I whisper their names like prayers. The city doesn't change, but people can. I used to think I was meant to be invisible. Now I know visibility is power. I speak at meetings, schools, even police trainings. When they ask who I am, I don't hide. I say, "I'm Lexi. I used to sell my body to stay alive. Now I sell hope to keep others alive." No shame left. Just honesty. Last week, Ava fell asleep in my arms for the first time in years. Her hair smelled like coconut shampoo and sunlight. I stayed awake, memorizing every breath. The noise in my head finally stopped. I didn't need drugs or men or money. I just needed that moment. That's what freedom really is, not escape. Not forgetting. Freedom is when the past no longer decides your future. If you told the 13-year-old me that one day I'd find peace, I would have laughed in your face. But here I am, 26 years old, alive, sober, and still learning how to love without fear every morning. I write the same 3 sentences before I touch my phone. I forgive myself. I'm not what happened to me. I am still here, because that's all that really matters. So when people ask if I regret my past, I tell them no. I wouldn't erase it, because it's the reason I can stand here and tell this story. And if one girl hears this and decides not to step into that car, not to believe that lie, then all of it meant something. My name is Lexi. I'm not a secret anymore. I am the life I built from what tried to break me.